criminal scum! What are you doing, tippy-toeing around here, night thief? This is the podcast Raw Dogs. Now, pay the fine or serve your sentence. Then pay with your blood! Ah! Oh! No one gets away with that in my city. No! I've been murdered.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the wonderful land of Spira. I am your host, one of your hosts. My name is Brad, and I tell you what, shoe puffs smell pretty bad.
My name is Tyler, and I'm feeling a little unsent today.
That's a great way to be hungover.
Yeah.
Such is life. And I am Muttski, back for round 3 of the Final Fantasy X episode. Hopefully this time with 100% less microphone buzz and feedback. I thought it was my cable, but it went away. And then today it was not away. So I switched microphones. So hopefully this is okay.
No worries. Luckily, when your content is so goddamn good, it doesn't even matter. Or I should say, Yevon dang good.
There you go.
Yeah. Yes, we are Raw Dogs. We are part of the Tokyo Beat Podcast Network. Check out all of those other amazing shows. And before we jump back in, Muttski, I just had to bring up 2 points that you had mentioned in the very first episode, I think it was. You said 2 things we need to think about as we go on our journey. One of them was, whose story is it? At the end, Tita says it's his, but you wanted us to come back on that, so we're going to think about that. And then at one point in the first episode, you mentioned you had listened to a few of our other podcasts, and you had something you wanted to bring up later.
Here's my thought on that. So it got brought up, and nobody reacted to it, so I was like, maybe it's just not a thing. So I'm just going to pretend like I never said that.
Now we need to know.
I don't know. Somebody talked about like fascist theocrats, and so I brought that up with the notion of this game. And like, I don't know, you guys, in the episode I listened to in which it got brought up, the conversation sounded like this was not the first time that you had talked about it. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just like a bit that they have or something.
If Dylan's around, we'll talk about fascist theocracies.
I was going to say, that sounds like a Dylan.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, I mean, it is relevant in the world of Spira, where the people have been kept a certain way, taught to stay in line, behave how they should, don't buy clock radios, and be a good kid and go to church.
Yeah, play some blitzball.
Yeah, we're done with this stuff, but anything else, not so much.
Yeah, we need the people nice and placated to keep them happy. Where we left off, our party had just had a altercation with Sinspawn Gooey at Mushroom Rock Road. We battled with Seymour. He joined us for a second, and Titus just learned that Sin is his father. He tried to confront Sin by chasing after him, and we're still on our journey. We're still on our pilgrimage. Up next, we have the Josie High Road. We're warned to buy some softs. There's going to be paralysis introduced, and we mentioned that on the last episode. They kind of meet out the status effects pretty well. Like, they're all given a little moment to shine, and you get to learn how to adapt to them, which I do appreciate.
And then when they start rolling them all out together in later games with enemies, you're prepared.
Or destroyed.
Just more likely destroyed.
I hate it so much when enemies use Berserk against you. Berserk used to be like an old reliable for me. You know, it's like I just get Aaron fucking mad and let him go to town. Yeah, we see the Isaru and his brother companions again. He gives us a warning that summoners are going missing. This is going to be kind of a driving plot point because we don't have a big evil outside of Sin yet. We've barely been introduced to Seymour, and we can definitely feel that there is going to be something. But as far as like a subplot, a B plot of something bad happening, we don't really have a lot of that yet. So summoners are going missing. Would you be scared?
Honestly, I'd probably, once I woke up on the beach, I probably would have just stayed there. I would be doing just fine.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, this is cool. Just leave me here.
Is there a bartender?
I'm going to get all Kenny Chesney with it out here.
You're going to get Kenny Chesney?
I'm going to take my shoes and my shirt off. I'm going to have a couple Coronas. You guys have fun.
I think the one thing that I think is kind of interesting, or I guess at least important to note with the beach, like post-Sin fight scene, is that like you kind of like talk to some of the characters, like one of them being Klasko, like a younger, Chocobo Knight sort of in training, I guess. And like, you kind of see that some of these people like realize like how fucking bad it is, right? Like, and even though this is like the moment and scene of combat where they even like kind of put the rules of the Machina on hold and allow themselves to use, the weaponry that they have at their disposal, and still it was like basically like the most futile like fighting attempt with Sin. Like it becomes abundantly clear that like these people are like actually just completely fucked when it comes to trying to stop Sin in any sort of like meaningful battle. And so I think this is like, even though they're like heading towards the next temple and continuing the pilgrimage, I think that this scene just kind of like really lets you know like how fucked things are for these folks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's at a good spot in the story too, because I always like it when you're going to have to deal with Sin at some point in the game. Being built up when the game makes the boss look just absolutely overpowered at one point, and down the road, like I'm gonna have to fight that thing.
Yeah.
And I got fucked up by the Chocobo Eater guy, and I was like, that was nothing compared to what I'm about to run into.
Chocobo Eater's scary though. That dude just looks aggro.
One of the better boss character designs.
But Sin just flicks a booger at you, and it becomes a boss that you're just struggling with. Yeah, they do put the anticipation up for Sin quite a bit. But like you were saying, Muttski, the beach is littered with bodies. Everyone's lives are fucked. And you mentioned the Chocobo Knights. There's no more Chocobo Knights. It's like down to 3 of them, and
one of them is very reluctant.
Well, and Klasko doesn't have a Chocobo. They're like, you better just keep up there, bro.
Yeah, it's rude.
Yeah, they're like, you just hoof it, yeah.
But they move forward. We make it to the Josie Temple, another great cloister of trials. This is the electricity one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fucking push some pillars around. How do you pronounce our horsey friend?
I say Ixion.
I called him Exxon Mobil. I called him that the entire time.
Oh my goodness. You've been indoctrinated by big gas and oil.
I do like it when they bring in summons that you like haven't been in the game before, because this was brand new to the series, I think.
I think it's, unless there was like some use of it in like 14 or something, like some mobile game, I think it's the only time that it's used in like a mainline single player adventure.
I love it. The next day, Yuna stays up too late, and they play it up for like a big gag where Yuna sleeps in and everyone makes fun of her. And it's like a rare moment of complete levity in the story, which is good. I mean, it's pretty serious.
It reminded me of when Ben Stiller wakes up late for breakfast and meet the Fockers, and they're all like, "Oh, look who's up, Bedhead! What's up, Focker?" Like that's. It made me kick. It made me chuckle.
I think it's the moments like that like whenever we finally catch up to the end of what we were going to figure out is like them reminiscing and doing a flashback of everything that it's up to the moment that the game kicks off with like the bonfire. And like you can kind of see that like they're like pitching like, oh, you remember that time that this person said this or this person did this. And so I think that they try to like underscore and emphasize like these like moments of almost like silliness and humanism to kind of pair with the worst of the worst things that we've been, experiencing. And so like, even when we were in Bhed or Kilika and we see, Sin shows up and destroys Kilika, and then we go to the temple and then like, we kind of have like a little more lightheartedness after they leave and start to head out Kilika. And now we kind of do the same thing. Like as we're heading out of Jose, we kind of have like another moment of that. And I kind of do like that they kind of pair them in that way, just to kind of remind you that these people know that this journey and pilgrimage that they're going on with Yuna is going to end, or they're anticipating it ending horribly with something that they don't want to have to deal with, and that they kind of like try to just take it in stride and enjoy the trip itself, I guess. So I kind of like the moments like this a lot in this game.
Just proves it's not the destination, it's the friends you make along the way.
The friends you make at the temple of Jose.
if I was with them, I would be just grilling Kamari, be like, so what's it like being a cat? Do you get hairballs? I would just want to talk with him, and just the fact that he doesn't want to talk to me makes me want to talk to him more. And Lulu, I would anticipate conversations and I'd plan them in my head, and they would just crash and burn immediately before it started.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't talk to Lulu. I'd probably be like, it was good to see you.
It'd just be me and Wakka in the back.
Yeah, idea like talking sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that all day.
You see what Bada did? What a ding dong.
Well, it should have been Letty.
We arrive in the Moonflow, have another summoner battle with Belgamine. We receive, whether or not we win this battle, the Summoner's Soul, which is pretty nice. You can actually teach Aeon's abilities now. I didn't really do any of this. You might want to teach something haste, maybe protect, but I didn't do any of it really.
At this point, I was like customizing armor and trying to keep up with the grid, the sphere grid.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't need no more of that. So I did not do any of this.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like with the armor thing. The abilities just cost too much to teach them anything that you would want to use. Mostly if I bring an Aeon in, I'm going to just rail the same attack 5 times or just wait till I can get an overdrive, and then I don't plan on keeping them around too much. I want to just get an overdrive or 2, and then sorry you died again.
Yeah, they're really only there for me for like a couple of attacks. And I didn't really use them unless, like, even in some of the boss fights, unless like the strategy guide was like, you're going to want to use like ExxonMobil for this one.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, sure. I didn't really find the Aeon battles all that interesting. I like the 3v whatever you're doing a lot more.
I hate too that the strategy guide often says like, make sure for this battle to have all your Aeons in overdrive before you go. I'm like, I am straight up never going to go and get my Aeons up to an overdrive before a battle.
Yeah. I was like, fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Then there was maybe 2 battles where I could have used it. We get to ride a shoe puff. And the shoe puffs they're fun. They're fine. We also see, I forget the shoe puff drivers. I forget their names.
Oh my God.
Mr. Mises.
I just had this conversation with people in my channel 2 days ago too, because I forgot the name. But yeah,
they're Gungans, kind of.
They're great though. They're Gungans, but not way cooler.
Yeah, they're laid back. We find out that Jax got pretty drunk and attacked a shoe puff.
I mean, as you do.
They look like an enemy, but we also find out that was the day that he quit drinking, which is, he's like, all right, I should slow down. I attacked an elephant.
Yeah, that's probably a good moment for some self-reflection, looking inward, making a change.
We all have our lines in the sand, and his was fighting an elephant beast thing.
And the one we ride actually has a scar because it's the same one that Jack fought.
I actually didn't know that.
It's like poetry, it rhymes. We have an underwater battle. Yuna gets yoinked off of the shoe puff, and we have to jump in to save her. And after the battle, there is what can only be described as an incredibly gratuitous shot from, it's like a James Bond shot where they get out of the water of Riku. She's 15.
I would say that I think that this is probably the thing that is certainly aged the worst in the game and has definitely drawn fair criticism before. Yeah, it definitely didn't age super well.
I was reading the US PlayStation magazine, and it has the Yuna cover, and I was just flipping through it, and it says, they're like, we have covers for all of the hotties in the game.
Oh, no.
Make sure to write in and say who your favorite hottie from Final Fantasy is. I'm like, come on, guys. You're the journalist. You're supposed to be teaching us values. But they're like, give us your dirty stories. And I was surprised to learn Lulu's only 22.
Only 22 compared to, I mean, how old is Titus?
Oh, fuck. I want to say 18, 19.
Yeah, I think they're like, I think him and Yuna are both like 18 or 19, something like that.
Yeah, but Lulu's got 30-year-old energy if I ever saw it.
Her, any semblance of idealism that she has had has been fucking taken away already. It's gone.
She's had to age her. I don't know if her and Chapu were engaged, but her partner died.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
She's been on 2 pilgrimages already before this, all at the age of 22.
Yeah, that's a full life for a 22-year-old.
Yeah. And she went and she's put all of her money in at the belt store.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't have any money left because she bought 50 belts. I'm going to make a dress out of these fuckers.
It's for dual purposes. I'm sure there's a Renaissance festival somewhere in Spira that she wears it to.
Yeah. The Renaissance festival would just be a future festival.
Yeah.
What is unique about Riku's character?
Well, I mean, her overdrive is certainly one of the most powerful overdrives in the entire game, especially from the immediacy of getting her. Her overdrive is a mix ability, which allows her to use. She comes standard and equipped with the use ability, which allows you to use specific items outside of the normal items you would use. That you can like throw at enemies or at your party for, buffs on your own characters or doing elemental damage or non-elemental damage and casting status effects to enemies. The mix ability allows you to combine both of those things together in a way that has some pretty fucking busted effects, including, but not limited to, the trio of 9999, which makes every active party member that you have when she casts it hit every enemy for the damage cap with every single attack they do. And so she's like super, super busted really early on if you explore some of the options with her.
What do you have to mix for her to get that ability?
The items are called Wings to Discovery. You can get them adjacent to the Calm Lands with this chocobo like spiral mini game outside of the temple where Belgamine hangs out, and you can go do more Pokemon battles with her. So you mix these 2 items together, and then that gives every character in your party the 9999 effect. And then on top of that, then you can use her usability and throw fire gems or water gems, which all hit the enemy for 5, 6, 7 times, and each one of those ticks will hit for the 10,000 damage, ultimately allowing her 1 turn to guarantee, 50 or 60k. It's super. It used to be for a long time. That is what we did in the speedrun until we shifted to using, Yuna's strength stat, which is very easy to raise relative to a lot of others, in conjunction with using Bahamut as a summon, who can naturally break the damage limit. And so for a long time, Riku was like the saving grace of the speedrun for many, many years.
So you raise Yuna's strength stat, and then Bahamut gets stronger. Does any summon get stronger?
They all, yeah. Like Yuna's stats will mirror their Aeons, but Bahamut just comes naturally with the ability to break the 10,000 damage limit. So basically, they just make Yuna as buffed up as possible in strength, and Bahamut will just like slap dudes with his normal attack for like 40k. It's pretty insane.
I will keep that in mind next time.
Yeah.
Riku's overdrive always kind of intimidated me. With the strategy guide, you get this big fold-out thing. One side is the sphere grid. Comprende. I get it. And then the back side, it's just like the full chart of mixing.
Yeah.
And my brain can't process that many things. I did this time, though, wound up really relying on fire gems for a lot of bosses because it's a quick attack. It's just throw an item, and it does so much multiple series of damage. Plus, I had multiple characters that could steal and use because I was on the expert sphere grid.
Yeah. I remember you saying that, which is like that's a great way to approach using any of them, really.
Just keep healed and hasted, and everybody throw fire gems.
I used Riku a lot more on this playthrough than I did on my previous ones. Probably because I'm older than I was and I understand games better. But when I was a kid, it was like swords go slash. Give me that. Like the first time I hit an enemy with Riku and did like 4 damage, I was like, no. I also didn't understand that punching things that are rock or something or magic only is not going to do it. So.
On this playthrough that I just finished, I like forced myself that if like I would say like I don't know 9 out of every 10 times that I would use Riku's overdrive, I would mix 2 items together that I actually didn't know what the combination did, which made it kind of interesting. Like it was just kind of like a YOLO trial and error to try to just kind of discover things. Like I really did try my best to avoid using anything that I knew exactly what it was going to do. And I mean, to varying degrees of success, it was fun either way though. But I did use her quite frequently. I just think that she's just like between her naturally high speed, among being like led off with quite a few usable abilities and the ability to steal like Bhed potions and dismantle Machina enemies in one shot by using the steal ability on them. Like she's just such a useful character that I would struggle not to use her a lot in any playthrough of the game, I think.
Oh yeah. Any machine, Riku is in charge of that battle. There's a scene as well where Riku, the obvious Bhed with the Bhed eyes, they have a discussion outside of Wakka's hearing, and they're like, all right, nobody tell Wakka who this incredibly obvious Bhed girl is. But yeah, Riku was actually trying to steal Yuna, but she winds up joining the party and following us along. We make it to Guado Salam. This is where Riku pulls us aside and tells us how to customize armor so we can start doing that. We're led to Seymour's mansion. And Seymour privately proposes to Yuna.
I mean, way to go for him.
Yeah.
Like, you just shoot your shot.
Yeah.
That takes some confidence right there.
Well, for step 1, you want to come into my mansion? Check out my fridge full of Red Bull.
Step 2.
Yeah.
Have a very unique hairdo. The more unique, the better.
And I mean, maybe.
Step 3, be like super powerful and have a evil agenda.
Yeah.
That's probably that's the trio.
I think that last one's probably like, that's the one you want, right?
Yuna, she knows she can fix him is the thing.
She wants to fix at least his hair.
Yeah, I got you an appointment for your hair.
I also really like that this scene, like after having, you played the game probably for, well over 10 hours at this point. You're probably, pushing like 15 hours in a casual playthrough. And you get here for the first time you ever play the game, and he shows the like vision of the past and what Zanarkand used to look like. And it's like really the first time where you're like, okay, I can now be grounded in that everything that Titus is claiming is real is not bullshit. Like he's not, this is not like the purely unreliable narrator from start to finish. Like everything this guy has said that he thinks is his reality, I have now seen it and can confirm that in some fashion, whether it is the time travel that has been hypothesized or something with him coming in contact with Sin and Sin being his father, whatever, we don't know exactly the explanation of how it all works yet, but we now can at least know that Zanarkand as Titus remembers it, which is vastly different from what everyone else is saying it is. It is real. And I think that that's kind of like my favorite takeaway from the scene, aside from like the obvious Seymour trying to be the cock block of the game. But I think that, I don't know, I always thought that was really cool. Like I remember the first time playing it and being like, oh shit, like it's real. Like my boy, he knows, he's in it. Like,
yeah, it's cool confirmation, and it's a wrench that I didn't see coming plot wise. A proposal kind of coming out of nowhere.
I thought that was going to be like the end of the game. I thought eventually we were going to end up like at a wedding and Sin was going to crash it, and it was all going to come together at this massive wedding at the end of the game.
It's a good drama too for our character Titus, who that he's just crushing so hard, and he's like, well, I got good hair. This is dumb. He's like, she shouldn't do it, right, guys? And everyone's like, we don't care. As long as she goes on a pilgrimage, we don't care who she dates. Sorry, bud. You guys think his hair's stupid, though, right?
Yeah, he's totally like, that's a lot of hair gel.
It's like, hey, Oren, they'd make a totally horrible couple, right? Right?
I don't care. He just takes a big drink out of his thing. As long as we're going on a pilgrimage. But Yuna decides she's going to think about it. There's no answer yet. We go to the far plane, and I really like that two people don't go in there. One is Aaron for obvious reasons, and then I like that Riku sits outside of there and she says, there's no point. Those are not real people. Those are not ghosts. They are just fireflies. Riku's the 15-year-old who knows more than like most of the party, which I do appreciate. Because she's, she comes from science. She comes from different culture.
Those woke Albeds.
Get your woke Albed culture out of here. We're getting Albed books removed from the Luca library.
Yeah, we're burning them.
Yeah. The far plane is interesting. It is cool that they're able to go in there and, see visions of people that have passed. I feel like Wakka was still holding on that his brother might not actually be dead.
Oh, for sure.
Which that's some long-term denial, bro.
Yeah, he was for sure hoping that his brother was still alive. At least that's the vibe I was running with.
There is also, much like FF7, I don't know if 8 or 9 has it, a little relationship formula that's always kind of operating in the background, where you'll get certain scenes with certain characters, like after an event happens, if you go talk to Lulu first, you're more liable to have a scene with Lulu outside of the mansion. So I had a scene with Lulu because as soon as the battle's on, I'm like, yo, what's up? You good? And you can have a scene with either Lulu or Riku here, and you can tell both of them that you prefer them to Yuna. And it's pretty funny. Lulu's like, I guess I could add you to my list. Good luck, little boy.
She didn't give a fuck.
She don't give a shit.
She's got a list?
Dude, she literally looks at this guy and she's like, you don't even fucking know what the end is. You don't know what ascending is? Get the fuck out of here, you scrub. Like, she's not interested.
Yeah, but I'm like the LeBron James of Blitzball. In Zanarkand, I'm the best.
I will say one thing that I wish they had explored a little bit more in the far plane scenes in Guadalsalam. I would, and it's one thing that I do think the game just doesn't do enough for me personally, is that I wish that it had done more with Lulu's like relationship with Chappu.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's like something that they bring it up really early and shortly after you meet Lulu and you aren't really with her for all that long yet. And then they explain about how he died fighting Sin, and You know, that would be like a pretty heavy thing to deal with. But then I feel like they don't really do all that much with the two of them again. And I just felt like this was like a really apt opportunity for them to do it. Like they do show Chapu and they show Wakka, you know, quote unquote visiting, you know, the Fireflies version of Chapu. But I do wish that they had done more with Lulu because I want to like Lulu, but I just have never been all that crazy about her because I feel like she's like kind of like the narration dump character more than anything else. And I wish that they had like explored her like withheld emotional side, especially regarding her past a little bit more deeply.
Her character doesn't really show a lot of agency. She doesn't make any big speeches or decisions. This could have been a great moment for her and Wakka to have discussed something about Chapu. And they're setting up, I don't know if they were in this game, but like a relationship that will happen with Wakka and Lulu. There's just opportunities that are missed. And they don't give us reasons to love Lulu, which is unfortunate. But, and Oren doesn't go in. He's like, oh, I can't go in there. But
I didn't even. Is that the first time that we're like getting a little bit of a foreshadowing that he's unsent?
Not quite. The first one would be Seymour.
Seymour
when he's like
smells him.
Because Seymour's like, "Where have you been for 10 years? You smell weird."
Oh, that's right. You can smell the unsent.
The unsent scent, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The spirit of Jiskel Guado follows you out of the far plane and drops a VHS tape on the ground.
Dude, basically. That is one of the moments where in our previous episode, maybe the first one when we first talked about Fireflies, and you had mentioned how they could be used to form like recorded video messages, basically like a hologram. And I think that is something that they decided Fireflies could do after they realized that this moment doesn't make any fucking sense otherwise. Like, he can just manifest a tangible item. Like, I feel like they had to have gone back and been like, Fireflies can do this also, by the way, just so you guys know if you're wondering.
You know, we said we would describe how this works later on. We haven't done that yet. Them Fireflies, they be
watch
cooking.
the tape. Just watch the tape.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions.
I'll let it slide because it is a good plot device later on.
Yeah, it's a confusing plot device.
Yeah,
though,
that's true.
Is that Yuna watches this tape, Seymour's a committed patricide, kills his father and takes over, and Yuna's like, I'm not going to tell anyone. It's like, Yuna.
Why would I do that?
My sister and Yevon. I mean, you gotta trust us, Yuna. We're here. You're Frodo. I'm Sam. I'm here to help you, but
you're literally in this together.
Help me help you.
Yeah.
You're in a proposed marriage thing with the murderer, and you're not going to tell anybody.
Well, that's the other part, too, is after she sees it, she's like, I've decided to marry him. Because she's like already figured out her murder plot, basically, that she's going to try to carry out on her own. Like,
in her defense, if I was going to marry a murderer, I'd probably, like, when they meet my family, I probably wouldn't lead with that. I'd probably be like, well, she graduated from such and such school, and she does this, and she was gone for like 20 years. But
yeah, the only thing I could see is that she'd be worried somebody would accidentally let slip. Her plan is to get to the wedding and then perform the sending in front of Seymour, but
I mean, it's not a bad plan.
I feel like there could be other plans.
Yeah, but like you were saying about like where they went to school, this plan's a little half-baked. You can tell that Yuna went to like Bhed Community College. Like she could have done better than this. I do see where she's coming from, that I think that she is keenly aware of just how powerful Seymour is, that I don't know that everyone else in the party is quite on board with it. I think everybody knows he's strong. I think Yuna knows the extent to which he has some level of power, and maybe she thinks that like this needs to be something that is so secretive that even her own companions and guardians need to not know about in order for it to work or something. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if it was something like that.
But there's one person you always tell, and that's Oren. Oren is the guy you have to, because otherwise, imagine she starts sending, and then Oren just turns and sprints away full speed. I forgot my keys. You gotta go.
I left my oven on.
Well, at this point, she tells Seymour she's not interested, or she's not going to make a decision yet. As soon as you leave Guado Salam, you get Shalinda comes up to you. She's like, we're super pumped. You're going to marry him. This is great news.
And then you can tell her, like, no, they're not. right? Isn't there a dialogue?
Yeah,
here?
but it's like once the news has been said.
We need to come back to this later too, because I have a really important point to make with Shalinda specifically in like, I don't know, a little chunk of story. So put a pin in Shalinda right now in the word of their marriage, because Shalinda is one of the most impressive characters in this game for me, and for a very specific reason. So we'll revisit her later for sure.
It's Shalinda's story. That's who it
Yes,
is.
yes, this is actually Shalinda's story. Yes.
I figured it out.
Right before Aaron throws Titus up in a sin, he's like, "This is Shalinda's story."
Titus is like, what?
We need to go through the Thunder Plains.
This is where I dodged lightning exactly 0 times.
First time, the timing is tricky.
Well, when I would enter a battle, I would hit X faster than the speed of light. But when it was actual lightning, I was working on like a 5-second delay. Yeah, I was like, damn.
Yeah, earlier in our first or second episode, I don't remember which one, when I mentioned that the only time I grinded armor was to get a piece of no encounter armor, that was specifically so that I could do this for the trophy, because I didn't want to be interrupted with the battle, and I didn't want to spend the time going into all of the battles. So I equipped the no encounter armor, and I just did the 200 dodges in a row, basically, and it was just way, way, way nicer. And I'm in hindsight, I'm very glad that I made the choice to do that first.
When you have no encounter armor and you're going through here, are you just spamming X, or are you actually waiting for the time?
Yeah, basically there's like some spots on the map that if you like go so far to and from them and just go running back and forth, the lightning will flash in the same spot every time. So I literally I didn't mess up a single time just going to this one location. I would just run up, it would flash, I would jump, then I'd run back, and then I'd do it again, jump, and I just did that 200 times. The only thing that sucks is that it does the trophy doesn't like pop when you get 200. You have to do the 200, and then you have to go to the inn and tell the person you did it. And like I did 202 dodges, so if I had gone like 30 seconds earlier, I would have fucked it up, and I would have been so mad.
Yeah, there was when I've done it, there's one section of the map where you go and the first one happens, the first dodge, and you get 7 before it'll stop. So you don't even have to move. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then you run back up. And that's how I did it. But I will never go out of my way to do this again. I probably don't foresee another 100% run of FF10 in my life.
Yeah, I think it was a one and done for me too. I was like, I'm good.
If these, you mentioned this in the other episode, if these mini games were fun, I would be so happy to go in and do a mini game. I love mini games.
Yeah.
Give me a Mario Party. I'm happy to play. But Mario Party, this is not. This is some of the worst busy work in any Final Fantasy game, I would argue.
Yeah.
The other thing is that it's like they're called like, you know, the celestial weapons, and they're like people's ultimate weapons. And like you mentioned with weapon upgrades and stuff, they're not even that fucking good.
Yeah.
Like it's not like your reward is really all that spectacular.
No, you can very easily make superior weapons and armor. I don't think I got any this round, because there's always like one extra bullshit step per character, like defeat all of Blitzball. I'm like, no,
ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, like it's not like you do the 200 lightning bolts and that you go get the weapon, right? Like you do the 200 lightning bolts and you get an item that you get to keep and just sit in your inventory for the next 20 fucking hours and then you can think about going to actually go get the weapon. So like, yeah, I'm with you. Not my favorite. I do like some of the celestial weapons in the game by design, but I think that it's one of the Final Fantasy games is one of my least favorite like ultimate weapon quests and like quality of weapons in the whole series. Actually, it is one thing that I will say I do not love in Final Fantasy X.
I like getting a weapon and it's ready to go, not like, oh, look at this cool weapon, it looks great. Sorry, it's not gonna. It's got, what is it? 0. It's got no AP unless you charge it up with a butterfly thing in a forest somewhere. Well, fuck me, I
Yeah,
guess.
thanks for wasting my time.
I got a perfectly good spiky blitz ball here. But we get through the Thunder Plains and we get to Macalania Woods. Bartholo has lost Donna, and Aaron gives him a nice little pep talk. He's like, dude, get your shit together, man. Sorry, Aaron. Big fan.
You have one job, sir, and you are not succeeding. You're failing actively currently.
Yeah, I need to get like a little 365-day calendar of just Aaron-isms, just saying.
Oh, that'd be good. This ends now.
Or just 365 days of Wakka talking shit about the Bhed. I wouldn't mind that calendar either.
But it's in Bhed.
That's the twist.
That's the twist.
That's the twist. We fight the Spira morph in the Macalania Woods. This enemy can change elements. Again, bosses have gimmicks. I do appreciate it.
This one was fucking tough for me.
Yeah?
Like, so when it attacks you with like a blizzard,
Yeah.
you're supposed to hit it with fire, the opposite. And then it takes on.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to take on a random element, and then I just got thrown off track so many times in this fight trying to keep up with what element it's currently using and trying to get to my magic user in turn.
The trick is also to have your party unequip weapons that have, like, if it has lightning strike and then the thing's under lightning, that's the trick. Because if you're using like a water strike weapon and it's a water element, you're just like kneecapping yourself pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lulu gets to put in some work here.
Yeah.
Maybe Riku as well. This is also where we get introduced to the concept of Jekt spheres. Aaron finds one on the ground. He's like, I guess Jekt was he's an amateur filmmaker.
Yeah.
And I do love every one of these videos of their pilgrimage. It's great seeing a younger Aaron. It's great seeing Yuna's dad and Tidus's dad. It's great to see them all interact. You can really kind of flesh out how their whole journey must have been just from these little snapshots. In this first one, though, it's where Jekt is talking directly to Tidus. So Jekt already has in his mind a little bit that Tidus will someday come here. And I don't know if he has fully formed his plan yet. Jekt is responsible for a lot of the outcome of the game, but he says to Tidus to be brave and he believes in him. So this is also shortly after he quit drinking off the shoe puff. He probably is sobering up pretty bad. He's like, oh, I was a pretty big dick to my son.
Yeah, I should go back and fix that.
He's come a long way from whining that there were no screaming fans and crying women when they were leaving on their pilgrimage till now. He's had a bit of an awakening, we'll say. Our guy Jekt.
Aaron also mentions that Jekt loved Tidus, but he didn't know how to show it. And I imagine that is just the most awkward conversation for everybody involved. But it is what it is. Aaron gets a new overdrive here. Shooting Star. Aaron's overdrives are tied to Jekt spheres, and Shooting Star is a crutch for me. What does Shooting Star do, Muttski?
Shooting Star allows Orin to completely fucking yeet any one enemy out of battle that you want. Doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, it gets used in the speedrun exactly one time in a mandatory Mandragora fight. I don't know if they still fight both Mandragoras now or if they just do the one that's mandatory. We used to do one optional. Like, you know, the Mandragoras are like in the little sand pits and they guard a chest. So we used to do one optional one, and we would use a Kamari's overdrive that we would get on the Jose Road to cast like stone on them, so they would be petrified, and that would kill that one. And then the mandatory one before you can continue over the sand dune, we would use Orin's, and you just baseball bat him, Hank Aaron the shit out of that.
Fucking Happy Gilmore.
It's honestly a pretty sweet animation. You just see him go flying, and then the battle's over.
Yeah, he does just do like a huge Happy Gilmore wind up and just smacks them. And there's always a point where I remember this is one of my favorite overdrives, and it's when I get to the Cenubia Desert and there's those giant fucking sandworms that have the most HP ever, and Aaron just winds up, and it's like seeing, who is it, Sabin or Edgar pile drive a train in FF6.
Yeah, it's Sabin, yeah.
That level of absurdity.
Yeah, no, the Happy Gilmore is a great parallel for what happens in the animation.
Fucking wind up. we get into kind of a little bit of a boss rush section. At Lake Macalania, we fight a crawler with a little negator. It's a boss battle. The negator prevents spells and summons, so take it out first. Then Wakka asks why she speaks Bhed.
Like he doesn't already know the answer.
Yeah. And when she says she's all Bhed, Wakka just gets that big dumb face. That big, like, if you enter like Final Fantasy X in GIFs, like one of the first ones is that stupid Wakka face just frowning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, my racism's getting in the way here.
My racism is really tricky for me right now.
Yeah.
Trammel will take Yuna to see Seymour. This is also where we see the snowmobile scene. Now, this scene has the affection mechanics in full force. You can ride a snowmobile with Lulu or Riku, and you can ride a snowmobile beside Orin or Kamari. And you'll have unique dialogue with all of them. And
I didn't know that. I got Riku.
so, yeah, that means you were just crushing on Riku a little bit.
I don't think I was. but
Riku's pretty common to get just because a lot of it is like characters you talk to first in various scenes. Like the person you talk to first will get the affection boost. And early on in the game, Riku is the only character, right? So like a lot of people, if they just naturally talk to the characters as they are like placed close in proximity to Titus, so like the affection later on kind of gets naturally spread out through others. So Riku just kind of has a natural advantage for a casual player. If you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that makes
when
sense.
there's only one person, like it has to be her. When there's 6 people, someone's going to talk to Lulu first. And if you want it to be someone else, like if you want it to be Orin, which is who we would do in this speed run because he has the least to say, we will go out of our way to interact with Orin, even in scenes where he actually doesn't have any dialogue. Like you just press confirm to speak to him because you get the affection boost, even though he doesn't actually have lines. So it's kind of like there are some characters you have to like actively try to get in the scene if you want them. But I also got Riku probably for the same reason.
Like the difficulty of taking Barrett out on a guy's night out in FF7, you really have to be actively mean to all of the women. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Kamari's scene's really cool because it's one of the rare times Kamari says like, he's like, Riku should stay Riku, and I like who, like you're a good. Yeah. I forget the phrasing, but he kind of just says Titus, you're a good dude, Titus, and that fills my cup of my self-love for the rest of the year if Kamari says something nice like that. Also, Arn and Kamari get to do like a sick jump, which doesn't happen with the other characters. So another reason. You reach the temple. Seymour and Yuna have entered. A nun finds the Jiskel sphere. She must have been fucking rifling through Yuna's bag or something. Finds a VHS tape, puts it right in, and everyone's freaking out because now we're finding out Jiskel Guado was killed by his son. And at this point, Wakka's like, yo, dude, I don't know. He's still a pope though, right?
Yeah. I don't think we can fight him.
Can we talk with Riku in the room? Am I the only one? This is another, like a pretty difficult boss. This is one that I died here. This is my first death in this playthrough.
This was my first death, and then I had to go back and refight the crawler.
Ooh, that hurts.
Which was rough. But I got them both on the second try.
Gotta be saving more.
The crawler almost killed. So I died with the Seymour fight, and then I went back and almost died with the crawler fight. And I was like, this is fucking gnarly right now.
It's like when you're playing like Elden Ring, and the first time you fight a boss, not knowing what's going on, you almost beat it, and then the next time you just get super destroyed in 10 seconds. The more like sometimes you overthink things.
Yeah, it's crazy how often that happens.
Yeah, Seymour has a pair of Guado Guardians with him, and if you steal potions from the Guardians, they no longer can heal Seymour, which is pretty cool.
Which is great.
Yeah, but also kill him as quick as you can. Anima will be summoned by Seymour, And at this point, Yuna has acquired Shiva, and Shiva can handle Anima pretty well. And then, even though Yuna has gone through the Cloister of Trials and gotten Shiva, we also have to go through the Cloister of Trials as we run away here.
Because why not?
Damn it. This was maybe my least favorite, maybe my second least favorite of...
This is my second least favorite.
Second most hated, I should say.
Yeah.
None of them are in the favorite category at all.
This is the one where I had to do the whole thing over again because I got pretty deep into it, and then I mispushed the pedestal and pushed it off the cliff, and I had to leave the room and reset the whole thing and do it all fucking over again. And I was like, this is awful.
The worst feeling ever.
So this is my least favorite one for sure. But I will say, like, the last one, which is a lot of people's least favorite, I kind of have it memorized now, so like it doesn't bug me as much, I guess. And this one, like I said, I just fucked it up and had to do it twice.
This one
so.
sucks, though. This one sucks.
If you were like, they were like, man, these Cloister of Trials are kind of annoying. Let's add some ice physics to it too.
You know what gamers love? It's ice.
And this one is so redundant. You have to go up and down that little path multiple times, and you got to build part of the pathway and then break part of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, just let me do a simple 1, 2, 3 fix here.
You know, all of that narrative thrust of them finding out Seymour's dad was killed by him, and you're running away and there's a marriage happening. Let's slow it down for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know about this sphere we got, this destruction sphere?
I came into this cloister, and instead of doing it, I went to bed. Because I was like,
that's it, I'm going to bed.
I'm not staying up this much later. I'll play a little bit more. And then it was a cloister, and I was like, nope, I guess that solves it. I'm going to bed.
Conversely, with Baldur's Gate 3, it'll be 1:30 in the morning. You're like, I can do one more dungeon.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We push all of the pillars. Trommel takes Seymour's body, destroys the sphere, and says, Guado handle Guado affairs. Is this where we actually kill Seymour?
As far as I know, the answer is yes. This is the moment that Seymour has been officially killed. If I remember correctly, I think the answer is yes. And now from the rest of the game, he will now be an unsent.
Yuna just needs to learn a faster dance. Outside, we have to fight a Wendigo with 2 Guado Guardians. They are running support on this Yeti, just casting Berserk on it. And he will one-shot every party member.
Yeah.
Now, this was, unfortunately, when I didn't know all of my abilities. And Auron can use Threaten, which instantly takes Berserk away from an enemy.
Did not know that.
He whispers like 3 words to them, and they're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, all right, I'll calm down.
I'm sorry, dude. Auron would be the best bouncer in the world.
It's like the equivalent to like when we were kids and we were making a lot of noise upstairs and we heard my dad's recliner click shut. We were like, all right, everybody calm the fuck down.
Yeah, that's what Auron does. He just puts the recliner down.
You're like, all right, no more Berserk up here.
Sorry. Our bad.
This is the fight. This is the fight where, for me, Lulu kind of got phased out of my party. At this point, I had gotten some black magic spheres from one of the boss fights earlier, and like I used them all on Yuna, whose magic stat for me was considerably better than Lulu, and now Yuna just became my mage. Like, she was just both white and black magic, and so Lulu kind of got phased out on when to go. I started going pretty hard on. Now I really wanted to get Riku in, so now I was going very Riku, Auron, and Yuna heavy at this point.
I did the same thing with Yuna. When I got a couple black magic spheres, I was like, ooh, this is actually much more convenient. Because I'm swapping her in to heal, and then I'm swapping Lulu in for damage, and I'm like, 2 birds, 1 stone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not only did the story decide we don't need to do anything else with Lulu, we decided that too. So we were just doing what the writers wanted us to.
You'll enter one cave later on where Lulu will have a scene. Otherwise, she's no longer there. We crash through the ice and land below. This is where we discuss that we're traitors to Yevon. Now, this little sequence where it looks like you're kind of in this like almost underwater city under the ice. This was something I learned on Boundary Break, that YouTube channel, where you were originally, if you look at Sin's model, like from the battles, he has a village on his head. like buildings. Originally, this was going to be you riding on Sin to the Cenubia Desert having a scene. Instead, they change it to where you're like under the ice having this moment.
Oh, that would have been cool, though.
Yeah. It's wild that Sin does just have buildings on his head.
I mean, he's big enough. Yeah. Makes sense.
It's like in Men in Black when you found out that you've been living in a locker this whole time. There's just people.
Oh, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, we're just a marble.
We're traitors to Yevon. Wakka is distressed.
I mean, he just found, like, he's one of the most religious people that you can know in Spira, and now we're traitors to God. And we killed the Pope.
But no one knows that. They can't say the Pope's dead yet.
We know.
We know, though.
Yeah, so he's like, fuck, I'm a traitor to God and I killed the Pope. This is not going to be good for me.
This is an interesting section when we arrive in the Cenubia Desert. I like this area quite a bit. I think my first time playing through it, I didn't like it as much because you're stripped of party members, and it's always a fun exercise not having your party.
I think this was probably my favorite part of the game.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the desert. I liked the enemies. I liked the change of pace, being out in like the middle of a desert somewhere. And it's just cool. It was, I was just thankful we didn't fall into another fucking cloister of trials here.
That would have been worse. This really showcases, I think, the strength of battle design and enemy design in the game, where there's fewer battles that always feel more substantial. A big sandworm or like that big flying zoo bird, and it's just well paced between having a small like couple of machines and maybe like an iguana type enemy or like the big ones. It seems considered in a way that I don't think a lot of battle situations are in other Final Fantasy games. Plus, I do appreciate we don't have Yuna. This is also when Albed potions become the fucking thing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh yeah. Every time you steal from an enemy, pretty much they're dropping Albed potions, and Riku can use them. Did you use Albed potions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she start with 99?
No, you must have been stealing like
I
crazy.
had
No, you definitely, you definitely just disassembled enough Machina that you just got them.
I had 99 when I discovered that like I should probably be using them.
When I started using them, which was probably like on the Sin fights right before the end, I had like 70. So yeah, and I wasn't like trying to acquire them either.
Yeah, that's what's wild is I didn't really try to either, but I did notice I was using Riku a lot more than my previous playthroughs. Because you got to get in and steal at least once from every enemy. You might as well.
That's just kind of a way that I've got conditioned to play RPGs. I kind of want to steal from every boss. And, got to see what every enemy's packing.
Well, with the Machina, like it's like a free one shot, right, as well. So you're stealing and also killing the enemy, which is considerably faster than literally any other option because the animation takes like a second. It's the most basic animation of any of them. And you just insta-kill any Machina. And some of them are kind of beefy, so...
Do the enemies that have that kick, the thrust kick... Riku can steal from them too, right? Or are those not?
She can steal from them, but it does not dismantle them. Unfortunately, I think it is only specifically the Albed Machina enemies.
We arrive at home. This is the cleverly named.
Maybe you should describe what that is because the name. I think it's one of those things that I think a lot of people that play this game probably don't even know that that's what that's called. And like just we went home. Like it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, home is where the Bhed have relocated. I think it's still a secret to a lot of Spira. Well, at least the Guado know where they are now. But Riku leads our party there and explains that the Bhed have been kidnapping summoners, and the Guado want to steal Yuna from here to go force her to marry Seymour. There's a number of puzzles requiring the Bhed language in this in home. Pretty much every playthrough I have now, though, I've been able to get the Bhed language mastered as soon as you run into that first, like, load your previous save data.
Yeah.
So those puzzles make sense for me.
And I don't think I mentioned it in a previous episode, but finding the Bhed books and discovering the language was easily one of my favorite things to do in this game by far. It might be one of the coolest things that I've seen in a game ever.
Oh, really?
Because it was once you understand what some letters are, like every line of dialogue that is said is a puzzle, and you're kind of deciphering it as you go. So once you get one letter of a 3-letter word, you're like, I think that's the, which means that would be T, that'd be E. You start figuring it out.
Yeah.
And by the end, I was fluent. I didn't collect all the books, but
You're just playing Wheel of Fortune.
yeah, I had so much fun with that aspect of the game. And I think more games should do that. Like, we have so many RPGs out nowadays with these large open worlds. Like, The Witcher would be a perfect example, where you have different cultures of people all meshing together. Like Skellige, if they had a different language that you could learn throughout the game, I just think that further immerses you in the world.
Yeah. Super cool concept.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
And I like that these puzzles are essentially for like third graders, but it just proves that you know the language. And I had collected all of them before in like 2013, so I was good. We get to the Summoner's Sanctum, and this is where finally someone turns around and yells at Tidus like, dude, she's gonna fucking die, dude.
Honestly, it's on them for not telling him earlier.
Not shockingly, the one that tells him is fucking Riku. The one that is not part of the Besaid crew, right? Like the one that we find out, throughout these scenes and some of the conversations, that Riku and Yuna are related in some fashion. And yeah, she's like, dude, Yuni's gonna die, and so yeah, kind of hits the revelation there. And then you also then kind of then make the implication and infer why then the Bhed were kidnapping the summoners, and that it wasn't this like malicious, they are actually the bad guys kind of thing, but rather that they're like, this is a fuck up, like ritualistic killing of innocents that you guys are enabling, and we want to prevent that from happening, essentially, in the name of this god that doesn't really do what you guys think it does.
This is about the time as well that when Wakka finds out Riku and Yuna are related, he's like, wait a second. Wait, Yuna's an Bhed? And around that point, I do want to just go punch Wakka in the gut one more time. Just like, yeah, wake up, buddy. Yeah, Tidus, this was one of the biggest emotional moments for him in the script and the story. He was, wrestling with it, is Sin actually my dad? He's got a few other things on his mind. How do I get home? This is the one, though, that really breaks him. I'd be upset too. There's other things I would be upset about as well, but the fact that nobody told me, poor Tidus.
I think especially because like they're not dumb. Like they could all see the writing on the wall that Tidus was like catching the feels for this chick, right? Like I think they could see them kind of becoming closer than just friends with one another, and they're just kind of letting it happen. Like I feel like there's a lot of blame to be placed on the crew here for not pulling him aside. Like I know we talked about it, and I don't mean to like get into it ad nauseum again, but I feel like everybody kind of saw this couple forming. Yuna obviously knows that. She's like, this ain't gonna fucking happen because I know what's gonna happen. And nobody tells him. And so they kind of let him continue, building that bond in a way that I think is actually worse for him than it is better.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss. escape on the airship, which is also the airship that we helped dig up at the beginning of the game.
The Fahrenheit. It's a sick airship name, by the way. The Fahrenheit. Big fan of that.
Yeah. Do they say it in the game pretty much at all?
I don't know that they ever actually say the name of the airship now.
No, I know it is Fahrenheit though, but I can't remember if they say it in there.
Yeah. I don't think they actually say it like in dialogue.
We get to meet our beloved Sid of the franchise. He is tough talking pilot, kind of a classic Sid. Riku's father and her brother, who has got the beautiful name of Brother. They're very literal people. But Sid makes a decision to blow up their home. And I'm going to give Wakka the award for the most insensitive thing anyone's ever said.
No. It's so bad. Do you have like an impression you want to do? Do you want to deliver the line?
Hey, Riku, it's not too bad, you know? Think of it like fireworks.
Yeah. He says it's like happy festival fireworks. And it's like, oh God, no. Jesus Christ, Wakka.
We know you live in Milwaukee and you love Milwaukee and it's blowing up right now, but think of it like a good time.
Yeah, dude.
That's like your house lights on fire and your neighbor's like, hey, man, it's just like a bonfire.
At least we got marshmallows, right?
Yeah, let's make some s'mores.
Oh, man.
Dude, yeah. Wakka's bedside manner not so good. That's for sure.
At least he's trying to talk to Riku. I'll give him 1 out of 1,000 on the scale of how helpful he is, but at least he's making a moment. I don't know.
He replaced his racism with insensitivity, which I will give. That's passable.
Yeah. We learn that Yuna is about to get married, but Bevelle is being guarded by Evray, flying monster. This was where you got stuck before, right?
Yeah, my last playthrough, which was a couple years ago, I got to this fight. I was not prepared, and I was just stuck. The poison damage just did me over and over and over again, to the point where I stopped playing. So on this last playthrough, the first time I've ever beaten the game, everything after this was new, which was nice, but it kind of pissed me off when I realized how close I was to the end, that I just kind of like threw in the towel.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it was so frustrating because like I didn't understand the move mechanic with the ship and how I could use that to my benefit. And I didn't understand that like if you cast haste on Riku or Titus, you can get to the trigger effect faster because they'll have more turns.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any potions or anything. Like
You were sitting on 99 all bed potions.
not the first time I played this
okay.
because I never used Riku.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any way of healing.
There is a spot on the ship where you can go talk to a character and they'll give you battles so you can level up.
Oh, that would have been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also did not know that until so for that fight, that's like one of the fights that at this point, like you essentially plan to have your overdrives that you'll need to dispatch any bosses as quickly as possible. And so if you don't have your overdrive, you go to that fight and you're just fucked. Like it's just not happening at the level that we would go into it. And it wasn't until later that someone told me about that and I was like, oh, like I could have just gone and got my overdrive there. I thought it was just cooked. Like I was like, all right, well, I guess that's it, guys. See you tomorrow, you know? So yeah, I didn't actually know about that until fairly recently either.
Even with the strategy guide, I died at this part again.
It's tricky having to move, or what is it? Move in or pull back.
Yeah.
And yeah, the stone and the poison, big problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're just trying to get everybody to 0 and just like no status effects, and by the time you get them there, something's fucked again. You're spending so much time not damaging the boss.
Yeah.
And
I think I had armor at one point in this game for maybe Wakka that was like
Stoneproof or something?
Stoneproof or like
Stone
no
Ward?
poison or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that I had equipped it. So it was like a happy accident.
enter a scene from Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
I was gonna say Cool Borders, so
I was gonna say Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Well, everything is kind of Charlie's Angels full
oh
throttle.
goodness. Throw a little Goldfinger Superman on there though, and you're like ready to go.
I imagine Kamari's wearing a pair of wheelies under his claws because he doesn't have shoes on.
Oh god,
That would hurt.
That would hurt, yeah.
I think even with shoes on, I think you would not have like a sole of your foot left after grinding down that thick of wire.
And like Titus jumps from like one to the other, and like I know he's a acrobatic, athletic blitzball player, but
Do you guys remember soap shoes?
Those are the grinders on the bottom, right?
Yeah. I wonder if that's actually what they're all wearing.
Either that or they had to fucking lube that entire wire up before they shot it.
yeah.
And even then, it's just there seemed like there could have been a different scenario to get him in there, but
This was definitely like the fever dream of one of the developers, and they were like, "No, this is how it's fucking happening."
I already wrote it in my head. It's done. Lulu is the only one that gets carried, though. She's like, "No, I will not. I will not take part of this."
I had my Elden Ring moment here where we get to the wedding in Bevel, and I'm like, this is the end of the game.
Yeah,
I made it. This is it. Like, Sin's going to show up. We're going to be a fight. We'll probably hop on his back, and it's going to be some awesome, like, set piece while he sails us to Zanarkand, and then we'll have the ending cutscene, and I'll have this baby wrapped up in the next hour. And then I was very wrong.
it's got the feel of a final area.
Well, your B side plot here with Yuna's marriage is kind of coming to a head at the same time. So the story implications are very real at this point, and you get one of the dope cutscenes that are cinematic and look all pretty.
You fight monks. The monks have guns. Kisses the bride. Yeah, Seymour kisses Yuna, and I felt Titus inside of me very angry with seeing this.
Gets the angry Arthur fist just clenching.
Yeah, just
love it.
Just yeah.
I just realized which Arthur. I was like, Arthur Morgan?
the aardvark, of course. You know what I'm talking about?
Then I figured it out.
No, just a cute little Arthur. She jumps off and does a straight up like the Millennium Falcon's below, and she jumps off the back, or
She kind of does a Jeff Hardy Swanton bomb.
just boom.
Oh no, she goes backwards, doesn't she?
Yeah.
No, that's a trust fall.
She jumps off onto Valefor, and Riku throws a grenade, and the party runs into Bevel Temple. And Wakka's like, "Yo, why does the church have an elevator? This is against the religion, dude."
And we're like, Wakka, we have bigger problems right now, man. We'll talk about this later.
Especially after they were just being. They just had like forbidden weapons pointed at them. Like people had guns and robots attacking them. And these are the people that Wakka's like worried about. Now he's like, oh, they have an elevator. This is where I draw the fucking line, guys. Like
This is too much.
everything else I've been able to overlook. But the convenience of movement, I don't know that I could go down this road with you guys.
Can't do it.
Cloister of Trials. This is the one you said you kind of have memorized, right?
Yeah, I'm sure that this is really fucking annoying for people, but yeah, I've just done it so many times that I just didn't. It didn't take me very long because I just like at this point I'm like I know where to go. I know how to do this, and
Dude.
I feel like Tyler, you're at the other end of this spectrum.
Yeah. So I'm somebody who does not like strategy guides. And I knew we were recording this episode, so I used one for the majority of the playthrough. And the cloisters really help. The strategy guide knocks it down real easy.
That's
So I
the
was
only
like,
way to do them, and even then they suck.
I was like, I'm gonna attempt this without looking at the strategy guide my first run and just see how it goes. And I went full Dennis Reynolds with it. I was untethered and my rage knew no bounds. The amount of time, there's the one part where you're like, you have to go down and there's 3 right turns.
yeah,
And you have to get to the last one. And you have less than a millisecond to hit that button to go right. Otherwise, you just go right off.
Wait, were you trying to like time the button press?
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to.
You can you can just hold it.
Wait, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like if you're like approaching it and you're like holding X, it'll turn. Yeah, you'll do it.
Dude,
You don't have to like press
didn't
it
even
when
know
you
this.
get there.
that makes me so much more angry.
Yeah, you can just kind of hold it in.
I was sitting there like,
Hey, you know what? I might be having like a dumb moment, but I feel like I have had this exact conversation with someone, but I was on the other side of it. Like I feel like you're experiencing something that I've experienced before, and I'm like, oh yeah, like that's the thing. I forgot that's like, yeah.
I had a full metronome going with my head, like syncing up, like hovering above the button, like trying to like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, fuck.
Yeah. So you know how like it'll be pointing forward and it'll like go right. Yeah, if you just hold it. If you get there whenever it's forward, it won't do anything. It'll then go, and then it'll take your input whenever it's available on the turn.
My God.
They'll give us a 20-page tutorial for Blitzball and one segment, but they won't just tell us how this works.
I totally understand why you fucking hated this now, though. I absolutely get why this would be really frustrating.
Needless to say, I went back and used the strategy guide. Even still, though, I was still trying to time my input to the arrow.
Now I'm like second guessing myself. I'm like, am I wrong? But I'm pretty sure. I'm like fairly certain, but I'm like, maybe I'm wrong.
I'm going to go with the speedrunner who's played the game more than 3 times.
I do have a save at some point around here. I could go home and check.
The moment you get out of a cloister of trials, you save 5 times.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to fucking risk the first 4 not working. When you enter the room, this is your first time actually entering the room in the temple where Yuna goes to pray. And we see her having a conversation with a little Bahamut boy.
And I was like, yo, I know that guy. He told me not to cry.
Yeah, he said, you cried.
Yuna's like, this kid tells what?
It was 1,000 years ago. Just cut me some slack.
Bahamut, like you mentioned before, Muttski, can instantly break the 9,999 damage limit.
But can't Shiva too with her overdrive? Or is this without his overdrive?
This is just like his normal attack.
Okay.
He can do it with.
Well, and also, like, you can unlock Aeons doing more than 10,000 damage when certain characters get their celestial weapons unlocked.
Oh, cool.
Yep, so certain characters pair with that Aeon. Well, the party is captured by Maester Keenock, who used to be buddies with Auron back in the day, actually.
Yeah, but fuck that guy now, though.
Auron was originally going to get promoted to have that position. Auron had possibly an affair with a maester's daughter, and he had to leave, and then Keenock got the job instead. And that's where Auron maybe had a daughter in Final Fantasy X-3, but that's not here or now.
Damn.
And
The lore goes deep.
And she has the hots for Tidus, let me tell you what.
Does she also only wear one arm of her jacket?
That's how I knew it was actually his daughter.
Does she really?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
I never fucking watched it. I read the Wikipedia and was bored. There is the fake trial, though. Micah reveals he is unsent. So essentially at this point, I imagine everybody in the church is an unsent. And Yevon maintains control of the people through the cycle of destruction. You are declared traitors and sent to die in the Via Purifica. You know what's super considerate though is, all right, who can breathe underwater? You go to the water section.
Yeah. Thinking back on it now, this actually probably is up there for one of my favorite parts of the game.
Yeah?
I liked this part a lot. Playing as Yuna and having to find your companions and I did a little bit of grinding here for Yuna because I was like, I'm using her all the time now. So I did grind quite a bit here.
The first couple battles where you don't have anybody but Yuna, I'm like, this is a puzzle I never considered. I never thought about how could Yuna just take out 3 enemies while keeping herself healed and doing enough damage.
Thank God I had black magic.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this is where we were thriving with our decisions.
Yeah.
And at this point, I had only fire or lightning. I had just the weaker stuff. I didn't really use any of my black magic spheres. I should have. But I was jumping around the grid a little bit.
Oh, you also picked your own starting point for your characters, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You navigate the maze. Yuna battles Isaru in a summoner battle. And then the water-breathing people are put underwater to fight. The zombie version of Evray.
Dude, I was so pissed off when this motherfucker came back.
Okay.
I thought, luckily,
You were like, it's been 4 years since I last attempted this game. I finally beat this bastard, and now you're telling me there's 2?
yeah, I was super not psyched about his return. Thankfully, though, he is much easier this time around because you can just run from him.
You did a different strategy than most people do.
I fucking hit those levers and opened those doors and got just swimming away.
Now, there's this great thing that happens in Final Fantasy games with undead enemies.
Yeah, you can just kill him with elixir or some Phoenix Downs. And he dies in like 1 turn.
No shit.
He's undead. It takes, I think, 2 Phoenix Downs.
Yeah. He's the token undead boss of this game.
Wow. I would have liked to kill him again. Well, technically I did because you...
No, but I think you did the cool way that I think you're supposed to fight him by doing the cage thing, like in the gate. I think that's like the actual cooler way to do it. Like, I'm glad that you did it that way for your first time.
Because after that last cloister, I stopped using the strategy guide until I got to like bosses, just so I could like you know, get an upper hand in those. And I don't think I looked at it for that because I saw the levers or the little gears or whatever that are holding the doors, and I was like, that looks like I should probably do that.
There's a mechanic that I forgot about too, where if you're underwater and you get turned to stone, that character just fucking drops and disappears.
Oh shit!
Like a stone would, you know? It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, and it sucks every time. I'm like, well, I am not going to reload this battle. Looks like Wakka's just not getting experience this time.
This is also one of my favorite parts of every stream of this game. After you finish this fight, as you're exiting out and you're swimming out, this is like one of the few times where there's absolutely no music. So I always take this as a point of my stream when I would run this game that I will choose at some point in like the 30 minutes leading up to this, I'll pick some other really identifiable underwater theme from a different video game, and I would play that. And so every single one of my runs has a different video game underwater song playing.
I love
that. Gives me something to get excited about in a part of the game where there's a lot of things to not get excited about.
Next time you should just do the just keep swimming Dory line from Nemo. Because they have like
just playing it forever.
Like a 30-hour cut of her just saying that over and over and over.
Sounds horrifying.
I'll put that on the list for sure. You'll just send me the link to the video. I'm sure I can find it, but if you send it to me, then I'll remember.
Seymour fears Yuna might escape, so he goes to stop her. Maester Keenock wants to keep an eye on Seymour, then gets killed for following him.
And once I saw Seymour again, I'm like, motherfucker, dude.
Dude, if I'm like, this Jeffrey Dahmer character, I don't trust him. I'm going to go in a hallway with him and just make sure he doesn't do anything weird. Maybe
not a good idea.
Maybe he'll kill you. There's a situation though where you run from Seymour and Kamari's like, I will stay, run. And you guys get down like 200 yards away before everyone's like, yo, we can't just leave Kamari back there. And I was like, you guys ran 200 yards before you realized you didn't want to leave Kamari to die. I was just very upset with everybody. This is a good grinding spot if you need to do some grinding, but another pretty tough battle here. This is when Seymour reveals that he wants to become Sin and destroy the world. And Seymour transforms his Guado servants and Maester Keenock into Pyreflies and creates a Mortabody. Now, Seymour, for some reason, can control Pyreflies, and he can make people into little parasites that live off him and heal them. As you do.
I casted Reflect in this battle, and because the strategy guy told me to, and I fucked it up, so I died. I didn't understand what I was like. I casted it the way I thought because
you cast it on Seymour, and then when you attack Seymour and it tries to heal him, the heal bounces off of him to you.
Yes, that was my intention. And then the second time, I fucked it up again because I just didn't understand how Reflect worked. But it actually worked out to my favor because I just couldn't use magic against him. But every time that he would try to hit me with magic, it ended up hitting him. I don't know what I did. I cheesed the second time.
Yeah.
Wherever my reflect landed or however I was playing, I was still confused as to the mechanics of how I was playing.
I'm confused.
Yeah. I don't know what I did, but the second time around, I crushed him. It was not even a fair fight, which was I was thankful for.
Yeah, this can be tough. If you direct attack Seymour, it results in multi-spells and possibly a flare. Attacking the Morty body, though, will siphon life from Seymour. And yeah, Reflect on Seymour sends the cures your way. If you summon an Aeon, Seymour will insta-kill them as well.
Yeah.
You can get one attack in.
He just banishes it to the Shadow Realm. He's like, nope.
I can't remember if it was this fight with Seymour or the first one, but his multi-attack where he can use his magic on multiple people, I had them all covered in null from Yuna. Like, I just cycled through. They all had all 4 little beams glowing around them. So I was impervious to all magic. And then when he would hit us, then I would just have to cast again. And it always gives you enough time to cast that many nulls until his next multi-attack. That paired with my reflect, it just cruised through it.
It's amazing how completely different of battles this one game can have for so many people. Yeah. I like that. There's options for strategy. That's really cool.
Yeah, I loved the null protection, especially when fighting like stronger elemental enemies. I abused the hell out of that.
And that's going to be where we call it for this episode. So I guess we're going to have to come back for part 4 of Final Fantasy X. It is a pretty big game. Muttski, if our fans wanted to check out your content, how could they find you?
So I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Muttski. Recently not really been doing a whole lot of Final Fantasy stuff, although that's most of what I stream.
Well, thanks so much once again for being here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And we're here at the Dogcast. You can find us on Instagram at Hot Dogcast. We're on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Facebook, everything. Just look up here at the Dogcast. And if you want access to part 4 of the Final Fantasy X-a-thon, you can get it immediately at patreon.com/hairthedogcast, as well as access to a lot of other great exclusive episodes early, access to our wonderful Discord. Special thanks to executive producers Ryan Christianick, Kipper, Brian Ward, Jordan Hoff, Phil Wright, Philium Birkin, Cole Del Gardno, and Bryant Ross. We are part of the Tokyo Beat Podcast Network. Make sure to check out all of the other amazing shows. And yes, we will be back to discuss more Final Fantasy X soon.